Good morning. I'm Steve Kramer. I'm the president and CEO of the Minneapolis Downtown Council. Thank you very much for joining this program presented by a new 612 on the topic of downtown reanimation, what lies ahead for the great city of Minneapolis. I'm going to turn over to our moderator just here in a moment, but first, just a quick word about a new 612. We are a coalition of business, labor, and community organizations. It's an initiative housed at the Minneapolis Regional Chamber of Commerce, and our goal is to foster important conversations in this really critical year. Happens to be an election year in Minneapolis, as we all know, and we're focused on issues like economic recovery and prosperity, public safety, good governance, really fostering important conversations within our community as we go through this very critical year. And this is the second in what will be a long-term series of events. The first also focused on the importance of the Minneapolis economy by highlighting a report that the Chamber of Commerce had about the economic impact of a thriving Minneapolis economy for the region and the state. And we all know the beating heart of that thriving economy is downtown. So we're going to focus today on where we're at with downtown recovery. And to get us started, I'm going to turn over to our excellent moderator, Christina Palladino. And Christina, take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Steve. I really appreciate the invite to be moderating this panel. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Christina Palladino. I'm the Senior Principal of Public Relations and Media Relations at a firm in St. Paul called Park Street Public. In a former life, I was a TV news reporter for nearly 2 decades, most recently at Fox 9. So some of you might remember my name and face. Really excited to be a part of this, a new 612 series. As Steve mentioned, this is the second in the conversation series. And this morning's discussion is focusing on the reanimation of downtown Minneapolis. Downtown Minneapolis is such an important part of the overall state economy. It's a beautiful city. It's really coming back to life. And we're really going to talk about ways in which we get people not only who live and work in downtown Minneapolis back and enjoying it, but also people from all across the state and beyond as we start to reopen back up. And obviously, it's been a very traumatic year and a half for downtown Minneapolis, from the global health pandemic to the social unrest after the murder of George Floyd. So it'll be a really good, honest, diverse panel weighing in on a great conversation for the next hour. Before we introduce our great panel, I did want to go over just a few pieces of information and some recent data that we've gathered about where we're at with downtown Minneapolis and kind of setting the stage of, like I said, getting kind of back to a new normal with summer on the horizon. So if we could pull up some of those slides just to kind of give you some statistics of where we're at with downtown Minneapolis. We know that in the downtown, in terms of restaurants and retailers, there's quite a bit that are fully open. And so let's kind of go over the numbers. Approximately 300 restaurants and retailers are currently open in downtown. That's about 80% of tracked restaurants that are full or partially open. You can see some of the names of the different restaurants on there that are newly or reopened. We know that many more will be coming back online over the next few weeks and few months as pandemic restrictions loosen. There's also going to be a lot of new places that have either rebranded or are brand new ventures. So it'll be really exciting to see some of those places in the downtown area. Next, talking about the occupancy. We understand that a lot of companies are either starting to really go back to normal or they have plans in place of the workforce returning. So we know that 23.3% of the buildings in downtown Minneapolis are occupied right now. We also know that there are some really set in stone target dates for folks to come back to work in their offices over the next few months, June, July, and then sometime after Labor Day. So it'll be really great to see more and more people kind of getting back to their normal work routines down there. We know that 19% of hotels have occupancy right now. And again, you'll be hearing from people like the head of the Twins and other restaurants that'll be really excited to see some of those hotels open back up and welcome travelers and tourists coming back to scope out downtown. 35.3% of seated diners of a typical 100% occupancy, and then light rail ridership about 35.5% right now compared to pre-pandemic ridership at the same time period. And lastly, let's just talk about public safety. Obviously, this is a huge issue right now. Tragically, we have heard about the deaths of the shootings of 3 small children in the last few days. And then we did find out that one of those children tragically died. But there are some important statistics to talk about in terms of the downtown core. Violent crime in the downtown core year to date is actually down so far this year from last year. So far this year, there have been 107 violent crime incidents in the downtown core. Compare that to 2020, where there was recorded 117 violent crime incidents. And then in 2019, obviously a high number of 160. So again, just trying to get some numbers out there for you to understand that in the downtown core, so far this year, the number of violent crime incidents are down from last year. So we want to get into the panel discussion and introducing our great panel of people. We have a diverse group of people on the panel from different sectors and industries. And so they'll be adding to a great discussion ahead. So first, I'd like to introduce David Fima. He is the founder and executive chef at Fima's Minneapolis. David, would you like to take just a minute or so to introduce yourself further?
Unmute. Okay, I was able to unmute. Yes, thank you so much for having me on the panel. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Downtown Council. I'm a chef, a restaurateur, and a huge proponent of Minnesota as a state, Minneapolis, St. Paul as a city. And my take on all of this is that you haven't seen anything yet. Downtown is going to come back stronger and bigger than ever. And it's not because I'm biased, which I truly am, and I'm happy to admit my bias. The same way I'm biased with my children and my wife, I'm also biased about this incredible state. But because there is such an incredible leadership downtown and in the state as a whole, I think we're going to come stronger than ever.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, David. The next person I'd like to introduce on our panel is David St. Peter. He is the president and CEO of Minnesota Twins. David, would you like to take a minute to introduce yourself?
Hey, Christina, thank you for doing this. It's an honor to be part of this panel today. And, much like David Fima said, obviously, I've worked in downtown Minneapolis pretty much my entire professional career over the last 30 years. And, I really view this conversation and really what's at stake going forward as consequential, not just for our city, but really for our state. And downtown Minneapolis has always been an asset. It's been something that has differentiated our region in all the right ways. And I think the steps that are taken over the next several months, over the next couple of years, are going to be absolutely critical to ensuring that it remains an asset and continues to be the economic engine for our region. So the Minnesota Twins are just one part of that, but we're excited about playing a massive role in trying to help drive the future success of downtown Minneapolis.
Oh, that's really well said. Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Melvin Tennant, Chief Executive Officer at Meet Minneapolis.
Good morning. Thank you, Christina. Melvin Tennant with Meet Minneapolis, our Convention and Visitors Association, the organization responsible for promoting Minneapolis as a destination for all sorts of travel. I do share the optimism of the other panelists. I'll simply add that the importance of seeing Minneapolis, particularly downtown Minneapolis, as a very vibrant, desirable place to be, really impacts the entire state. In fact, according to Explore Minnesota Tourism, the metro area here generates 70% almost of the entire state's tourism expenditure. So the state needs us to be successful, and I'm looking forward to having this discussion today, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And finally, Leah Wong, Vice President of External Relations at Minneapolis Downtown Council.
Hi, Hi, Christina. Thanks for having me this morning. It's good to be with all of you. I too am excited about this conversation. As you heard, I'm Leah Wong, the Vice President of External Relations for the Minneapolis Downtown Council. I have been with the MDC for 13 and a half years and am grateful for the incredible partners that we work with day in and day out as we work together to create an extraordinary downtown for all. Like many organizations, the MDC and DID is working hard to support Minneapolis downtown reanimation. We all know that downtown is the lens through which people view our region, and the time is now to continue to work together to make sure that we have a strong and thriving downtown into the future. Downtown Minneapolis, there have been many stakeholders working together over the last 6 months to really think about what does reanimation look like. We've been working on shared messaging and activations to tell our story and really invite folks back to downtown. We're really looking forward to a lot of this collective work rolling out this summer and beginning to make those series of invitations to see you downtown. It's been inspiring, invigorating to see the passion, commitment, and love for our downtown from partners across sectors, industries, and communities. And we look forward to that continuing as we join together to reanimate downtown.
Great. Well, the first question I want to ask, I want to pose it to all of you just to get your perspective. I think it sets the stage nicely for the rest of this discussion. What does it mean to have a vibrant, safe, and inclusive downtown Minneapolis? David Fima, do you want to start?
Yes, boy, it's one of the things that I think needs to be understood, and I think it showed up because of COVID. Not a lot of good things happened because of COVID, but if there was something that really, it's the importance of a vibrant downtown, the importance of theater, the importance of the Twins, the Timberwolves, the Vikings, the importance of an energy. Downtown, without downtown, you have a body that has a heart that is not beating very well. It's lacking soul, it's lacking that incredible vibrancy. And so this is not financial. It's not like downtown encompasses, if downtown doesn't work, nothing works financially well. But this is basically, to me, as a chef, it's basically a great downtown is like sitting at their dinner table, and the dinner table is Minnesota, with so many wonderful people and sharing stories and sharing meals. A downtown that is dormant is sitting at that same table without anybody there. The meal could be great, Minnesota could be great, but that sharing and that vibrancy that happens because of the people around is just lacking. It's not there. And I think you have to throw P&Ls aside, you have to throw statistics aside, and you have to look at that heart and soul. And downtown is that. And I am as bullish as I am about downtown. I'm also, if we don't take that seriously, that will affect everything else in our state. I firmly believe that. I have been downtown like Dave and many of you since 25 years ago. And I remember having a restaurant on Hennepin and 11th. I think we were doing paella and salsa out there when people thought paella and salsa were these foreign things. And our industry has exploded. The incredible amount of great chefs, the incredible amount of diversity that downtown has. I mean, think about that. Downtown is Minnesota in its diversity, in its culture. If that doesn't beat, nothing else beats.
Great. Dave, what do you think a vibrant, inclusive, and safe downtown Minneapolis means to you?
Well, I think, downtown Minneapolis, has so much to offer to so many. We haven't talked a lot about the huge number of people who live downtown. and what a critical aspect that is. I think about it as really offering so many different things. It's certainly driven as really the commercial center for our state. And I think that's probably the number one thing that's lacking right now is the number of people that aren't working downtown. I'm optimistic that will change over time. And over the course of the next several months, we're going to regain that critical mass of people. But beyond that, it's all of the offerings and the traditions that make our downtown great. It's all the small bars, restaurants, people like David Fema, who have been champions for downtown forever. It's First Avenue. It's the Guthrie Theater. It's the Riverfront. It's Twins baseball and Vikings football, Lynx basketball, Timberwolves basketball. It's every concert. We haven't had a major concert in downtown Minneapolis in a year and a half. It's all of that knitted together that creates that energy and at the end of the day really drives, in my mind, the perceptions of downtown Minneapolis. And it will come back. We need to start taking steps in that direction.
Melvin, what does a vibrant and safe and inclusive downtown Minneapolis mean to you?
I want to certainly add to what David and Dave have said, but I want to focus on the word inclusive. Just like both of those gentlemen said, we have a variety of activities or demand drivers, reasons why people want to come to downtown Minneapolis. And unfortunately, many of those went away due to the pandemic. But if we look at the various audiences that the activities that we have downtown draw, we have very diverse audiences. So it's nice to see those various groups of people, whether you're a theater goer, whether you're a sports fan, whether you're a foodie, whether you just want to come down and have a great meal with David. You have a variety of audiences that converge downtown, and when all of those things are happening, to me, that really speaks to what in our business we're looking for. We're looking for an organic experience that really shows that we're a vibrant downtown. And that's one of those things that typically distinguishes Minneapolis from most other cities, where when all those things are working together, it can't be beat. And that makes us a very competitive, compelling city for visitors and conventioneers.
Leah?
Well, Christina, just picking up on what others have said, I would say it means creating a place that everyone wants to be, one where all are welcomed, elevating the good that is happening, and supporting the full ecosystem. Like Dave mentioned, it's truly the collective experiences for all who live, work, and play downtown.
Great. On top of a lot of people's minds right now is public safety, violent crime. It's been in the headlines a lot. There's a lot of tragedy happening. Talk about, though, from your perspectives, what the biggest misconception of public safety is in downtown Minneapolis and how we communicate that to people who don't necessarily live in downtown or Minneapolis and may think, they're unsafe going back to downtown and attending restaurants and events there. Dave, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. We certainly, from a Twins perspective, have been talking to our fans a lot over the course of the last year and a half about what their confidence level is in coming back to games in the midst of a pandemic. Throughout that conversation, public safety was also part of the narrative. And frankly, I think a lot of our core fans, both here in the Twin Cities, as well as maybe throughout greater Minnesota and beyond, were more concerned about public safety. And I think at the end of the day, from a Twins perspective, it was our responsibility to build a plan with the Minneapolis Police Department, with the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, with the Downtown Council, with the Downtown Improvement District, Met Transit, to ensure we're doing everything within our power to ensure that we can deliver on the public safety quotient, so to speak, around Twins baseball. And I'm happy to report now, while our team has struggled mightily on the field, and I think better days lie ahead, the Target Field experience has gotten rave reviews from the fans that have attended games. And more importantly to this conversation, about 95% of the fans in our ballpark are feeling safe coming in and out of the ballpark, coming into downtown, parking, spending that time walking to the ballpark. And I believe it's really a grassroots effort, literally 8 to 10,000 fans at a time for the first 2 months, hopefully bigger numbers here going forward of people experiencing downtown Minneapolis again, many of which for the first time in at least 6 to 9 months, if not longer. So we feel really bullish about the future and take nothing for granted, but believe downtown is safe and will continue to be safe for our fans and for others.
Yeah. Leah, how do we communicate effectively to folks in Eagan or some of the other suburbs that, when violent crime unfortunately does happen, it's not necessarily happening in the core of downtown Minneapolis?
Yeah, Christina, I think that's such an important point. I think often when people hear about Minneapolis, they assume downtown. And so we have spent a lot of time really breaking down statistics to help people understand whereabouts within the city things are happening so that we can provide accurate information and hopefully tell an accurate story of what's happening. But to Dave's point, perception is reality. And really helping people to start to see themselves downtown, making those series of invitations, opening up and welcoming more of these collective experiences where people can come try it out firsthand. We really believe that there's power in communicating story, but narrative from humans just like all of us, right? And so we are really excited for more folks to come down and continue to experience downtown so that they can start to share out what their experience was like. And that is what we think will really move us forward in just having people talk about their own personal experiences downtown.
Yeah. David, what does public safety mean to you from a restaurateur perspective?
It means that when people come downtown, that they valet their car, that they park their car, that they feel safe, that they're not harassed. It means that when they are sitting on the patio, that the same thing is also true. It also means that when they are walking down the street, they're going to the theater, they are, we cannot be vibrant if we are going to one place specifically and then go back home. What makes downtown really our downtown so awesome is the ability to go to one place, walk to one place, go to a Timberwolves game, go to a Twins game, go to a Lynx game, go to a bar. But if your destination is all that you're doing because there is this issue or perception of an issue with safety, then that is a problem. So we have to really understand that the commute that people come to downtown, and that's what we're hearing. We're hearing, okay, we're gonna come, can we valet up front? Listen, to me, it's threefold. COVID has created has made this perception even greater than what it is. You walk into an empty restaurant and you assume that the restaurant is not good. You assume there's something wrong. You go to downtown Minneapolis and there's not a lot of people, and you assume that it's because something is wrong, but people don't feel safe. So that is our number one problem, and there is no way to combat that than hopefully us really beating this virus. The second piece is that there is some reality in when there is less people in a downtown, crime thrives. But we're no different than New York, we're no different than LA, we're no different than a lot of downtown Minneapolis. And that is the thing that I think needs to be emphasized. We are no different. The issues that all downtowns have, we have. The difference being is that I think we have more theater seats per capita than most downtowns in the country, that we have within few blocks, incredible, the Twins, the Vikings, the Timberwolves. So we have to really, our message has to be really our messaging has to be important. Yes, there are issues, but let's know why they are. The COVID is one of them. Two, certainly there is a social justice issue that we all have been talking about and are really a huge proponent of making sure that's fixed. And three is, as importantly, is, as you can see, I mean, the last couple of weekends with people coming downtown a little bit more, the perception is changing. I can promise you that safety hasn't changed. The perception changed because there were people there. And so to me, public safety is really two things: that there is a strategy, that we know what to do, and that we have safety downtown. And I'm going to let people with a better brain on how that happens than me to do that. And two is to say, listen, part of what the problem is, what's created is in your head. It's really not downtown. So that's my take.
Great. Melvin, this question is for you. What do you think it'll take to bring people from the suburbs in greater Minnesota to downtown Minneapolis, particularly this summer, as we anticipate a great summer where we're back to more of a new normal?
Sure. Some of it, Christina, has been discussed in terms of what is the reality of downtown Minneapolis. Leah said it very well when it's an opportunity for those that have had a great experience in downtown Minneapolis to share that with their networks. And I would say that a lot of it relates to credibility of messaging. David talked about the fact that we do have issues, and frankly, no issues no worse than other communities. So we have to be honest because we want people to perceive us as being credible and honest. But we have to really take the time to speak to our various audiences on very unique levels. We're having with us at Meet Minneapolis individual conversations with clients that are considering bringing meetings and conventions here. We're having lots and lots of those, and those are being going very well. Leah knows that with some of our team, we're also pitching the media with proactive messages because we know that sometimes the media doesn't do us any favors. We have, frankly, some local media that are not doing us any favors in terms of the perceptions of downtown, but we frankly have those that are tired of the Minneapolis bashing. So we certainly need to continue to engage the media. But I would say on a one-on-one basis, we would hope that those that have those positive experiences be able to share those with their networks, because again, that maybe creates a more credible message to those that are in the suburbs that it's okay to come and to downtown Minneapolis and have a great experience, because there are a lot of things going on. We saw those statistics earlier about all the businesses that are open. Hotels are seeing higher occupancies, particularly on the weekends. So we have a great story to tell.
And as we get closer to really, the restrictions from the pandemic are pretty much going away in the next few weeks. We have a lot of events. There's a person that just in the chat is asking about plans for pop-up music events and other festivals that we've come to love in downtown Minneapolis. A lot of this stuff is coming back. Leah, would you like to just kind of talk about things that people can be excited about and returning back to a new normal?
Sure, thanks, Christina. Well, we are really excited because we do think that this summer will really signal that return to collective experiences, in addition to the fans at sporting events that's currently happening downtown and some population of workforce back. We're really excited this summer. As we look to the summer, we're excited about Downtown Thursdays, a day where we're really going to double down and think about all that people can do. Kind of the feature of that will be the return of the Nicollet Farmers Market, the Makers Market. Pianos on Parade will be back this summer throughout the whole summer, so that will be extended. There will be programming happening at PV Plaza with regularity this summer, pop-up music concerts throughout downtown. And then, as you mentioned, some of our beloved favorite community events are back. We're excited to be bringing back the Minneapolis Aquatennial, which will again be bookended by the Centerpoint Energy Torchlight Parade and Target fireworks. So really kind of showcasing some of those great spaces downtown as well, including our riverfront. And of course, other festivals like the Sonarch Festival and many other community festivals coming back to downtown this summer. So we're really excited about that and feel like that return to those collective experiences will really bring some uplift to the community. It will help to provide some of that messaging as well, where people can really start to understand what their experience will be like. And hopefully through all of the programming and activation that will return, we can really empower people to have a little bit more confidence and understanding, to Melvin's point about just being really honest and accurate in our communication. But again, the power in those firsthand experiences of really encouraging people to come back and enjoy all that downtown has, because it will be there for them this summer. Their favorite restaurants and pop-up music experiences, festivals, and of course, getting their produce at the farmers market. We're excited to welcome people back to that.
Melvin, just a quick follow-up. Do you think people are going to come and go to these events, or will there be a little hesitancy, whether it's, pandemic related or public safety related?
Well, we are seeing, Christina, an uptick in travelers' desire to want to travel. I actually have a couple of slides relative to travelers with travel plans over the next 6 months that has really grown in recent weeks. If you look, I know that's difficult to read, but this is from a company called Longwoods International, a very well-respected travel industry company that provides us a lot of research. So basically, as of the latest time that they took this survey, 89% of travelers have travel plans within the next 6 months. I think that's very positive. There's another slide which then talks about whether coronavirus would greatly impact their decision to travel. And as you can see, that number peaked early at 66%. It's down to 29%. So that's having very little impact on travelers' future travel decision-making. So we're excited about that. We're seeing lots of opportunities for bringing future conventions and events. And as I mentioned earlier, we're already seeing signs that hotel occupancy, which this time last year was running less than 10%, right now on the weekends, those occupancies are approaching 30% on Friday and Saturday, very busy days for the community. So those are very exciting signs. We know we need to do a lot better, but very optimistic, Christina.
Yeah. Let's talk about resiliency. I feel like downtown Minneapolis has been tested in its resiliency over the last year and a half, whether it's restaurants, sports venues, the pandemic, social unrest. Dave, just talk about what it's been like, being in charge of the Twins and having to get through a pandemic and all the misconceptions about coming downtown. I mean, how have you been able to kind of steer in this tough times we've been enduring?
Well, Christine, I think, we try to play our part, and certainly from a Twins perspective, we're very grateful that our owners, the Pohlad family, are so committed to the state of Minnesota, but in particularly Minneapolis, and particularly downtown Minneapolis. So for us, really, we take our lead from them, but you see it with so many other leaders across the business community. And I think that for us to collectively move forward, we're certainly going to need the Targets and the U.S. banks and the Xcel Energies and all the sports franchises and the other business owners together to be as committed to downtown Minneapolis in the future as we have been in the past. I also think it's why this election is so critical. We need additional support, I think, from City Hall, from the mayor and from others across the city council in relation to ensuring that our downtown remains the asset that it has been for many, many years. If left unattended, it just becomes much more challenging, and there's, quite frankly, a lot at risk, in my opinion. So the business community cannot do it on their own. They're going to need help from the public sector, and particularly those at City Hall.
Yeah, well, we have a person on here from WCCO Radio who asked, the tension between the Minneapolis City Council, the mayor, and other city-run entities seems to be growing every day. How does this impact your specific entities, and what do you say to city leadership about this? Do you want to just follow up with that, Dave?
Well, obviously I think we need to find ways to become aligned. Again, our downtown and the vibrancy of downtown Minneapolis, to me, is as Melvin said, there's a lot at stake, and it isn't just for downtown, it's really for the entire state. So, I think I'm hopeful that over time with this election that we will come together as a city and as a community to push forward. And there's there's a lot of issues. Obviously, it's a divisive time, Christina, but I think we can all agree that we're better off with a strong downtown Minneapolis, and that's where the alignment needs to be focused on.
Yeah. Let's talk about the restaurant hospitality industry. I mean, it's taken a beating, especially with the pandemic. David, talk about just being resilient and bouncing back and being hopeful. And I mean, you said the last few weekends, you feel like, we're kind of turning a corner. People are really excited to come out and support local restaurants and kind of get back to eating and enjoying. Just talk about what it's taken to get here.
Not to be controversial, but I just want to piggyback on what Mark Frey's question was from WCCO about downtown city council and the back and forth, for lack of a better word, with the mayor. And as Melvin said, we have to be honest, and we have to be honest with our messaging. Yes, there is a perception, but if you tell people that's all there is, it doesn't work. There is a problem with our downtown council and the mayor's office. They need to get their act together, and they need to lead downtown. Dave said it eloquently. We can do so much, but at the end of the day, the downtown city council, the mayor's office have to be aligned and lead out of this mess, that it is perception, that it is safety, that it is whatever it is that we all are talking about. At the end of the day, it starts there. So I have no issues talking about it. I have told the council, the downtown council, I have told the mayor just that. At the end of the day, I'm a chef, so I get to say what I need to say on the line. So I'm going to say it right now. I think they have to get their act together. Now, as far as resiliency, in order for you to be in our business, the hospitality business, you have to be everything that's not natural to a human being. You have to be optimistic 100% of the time. You have to invest a lot of money to make very, very, very little. You have to be on when everybody, everybody's weekend is about to start. Our work week is about to start. And sports team have sort of a little bit of the same things, but we have it pretty much every day. So so resiliency is who we are. We hey, we can't make payroll, so we go, okay, this weekend looks really great, and then a huge snowstorm comes in and kicks you out. Nothing has made us more resilient than COVID. And if all the restaurants who are still surviving today have been able to stay and are able to stay, I can promise you that we will be here for the long term. But we had to pivot. We had to work with Minnesota Central Kitchen and help the community. It raises our awareness in how we need to be more socially diverse, more socially active, have an impact. When you talk about culture, and nothing says that more than food and hospitality. It brings people together. And we have to use our platforms, quite honestly, to do that. And I think a lot of chefs and a lot of restaurants have done an incredible amount of good during the last 18 months in staying relevant, staying active, staying resilient, but a lot of them just couldn't. A lot of them have left. But this is also an opportunity as well. There are less restaurants. That means the ones who are here right now are going to be able to do well. Hopefully, all those spots who are closed will get new people in them, new breed of chefs, a new breed of restaurateurs, hopefully a lot younger than I am, and to get this thing going. But I think resiliency, and your word, Christina, is really synonymous with chefs, restaurants, and people in our industry. We just don't know. We don't know how to quit, and probably we should know a little bit, but we just don't know. So we're lucky to have that in our DNA. But boy, have we been tested. We have been tested I lived in LA and I had restaurants in LA during the Rodney King trial. and I have seen almost like a deja vu all over again. It's different. It's a different circumstance. It's a different city. But and a part of me goes, really, are we here again as a society? And we getting better? But you see it and you feel it. And I wouldn't be shocked if something bigger happened. I hope not, and I pray it doesn't, but I wouldn't be shocked. I think the restaurants who have survived not because of government but they have survived because that's who they are. And I'm proud to be part of them. And because of the community, I mean, getting supports from the Twins, getting supports from the Timberwolves, getting supports from the Lynx. The community sort of like, it was amazing to have the community embrace restaurants and put its arm around that. We're going to do more takeout. I think we made people fat. I mean, because they wanted to support us and give us a lot of money. And there was, people tipped more than ever. I just hope that stays, because we have a shortage of staffing in our industry like we've never, ever had. And I know, Dave, you probably, as you guys are reopening to full capacity, that is probably going to be your biggest challenge. It's, you know, some people don't want to come back. Some people want to come back, but they want to make more money, which they should. So I hope the community remembers that and helps us get to that next phase of paying people better. You listen, if you're going to pay for your chicken and waffles an extra $2 so I can have employees make a good living, I don't know anybody who's against it. So I know I've answered more than just resiliency, but that's sort of it.
No, you have great, inspiring words. And like you said, you guys know resiliency and have been able to get through it. Let's pivot just a bit to the workforce. We know that there are some target dates set ahead in the next few months of the workforce returning to downtown. That's going to be huge, not only for restaurants, the Twins, you know, conventions. Leah, would you like to kind of just lay out some of the different dates that have been set, and what do you think this will mean to really kind of get downtown fully back up and running?
Absolutely. Thanks, Christina. So we recently conducted a survey of businesses across downtown to really kind of understand this. We also have been working a lot with organizations across downtown to understand their return to work strategy. As we understand it right now, we are looking at kind of a wave of return to downtown office. Memorial Day, the 4th of July, and Labor Day being kind of the 3 key moments upcoming as we think about return to downtown office. Also with that, we had a recent survey that showed us that 80% of downtown employers are really looking at a new future of work model that they plan to roll out as early as this fall. And so with that, you know, we understand that the baseline will be different, but we also think it will be stronger than maybe we expected, seeing that about 80% of employers also reported that employees would be back into the office 3 to 5 days a week. And so really feeling good about the momentum that we'll see starting as early as this summer, with more employees returning with some type of regularity to the office downtown.
This is for anybody who wants to answer it. How critical is it that employees do return back to downtown and fill up those skyways and walk to get lunch or a drink or coffee or just be there?
Yeah, I mean, Christina, this is Dave. I think it's vital, right? It's foundational, I think, to any healthy downtown is that workforce. And I'm optimistic over time that will happen. I think you go through market adjustments at times, but I think downtown Minneapolis at the end of the day is a destination. And I think that it's been a great place to conduct business for a long, long time, and that will continue over the course of time. It'll look a little different. I think companies obviously are looking at where remote work factors in for their employee base, but I think over time, you're going to have that critical mass of people back downtown.
Someone brought up the issue of skyways. When are they going to reopen? How important, you know, we're very unique because of our weather sometimes in the winter where we have the skyway system, and it's, you know, very popular and it's convenient. How critical is that, getting that skyway back open and, you know, getting people, there's lots of great shops and restaurants in those skyways. It's important to our downtown.
Absolutely. This is Leah. I can just jump in here maybe to start. So I think it's important for people to understand that we have about 300 restaurants and retailers open throughout downtown right now. Many of those are Skyway level as well as first floor level throughout downtown. Many of the Skyways are open with hours of regularity, even though they may not be their standard hours. And we can certainly share a link to where people can find all of this information. We've been working to make sure we're tracking Skyway hours, open restaurants, and are pretty excited that, you know, right now we have almost 80% of kind of restaurants and retail across downtown open with some regularity. And then it's also been really fun to see new recent openings. There's just a couple of recent openings of retail and restaurants downtown, Coconut Whisk, Sista Co-op, both recently opened. And so excited that we have these happening downtown as well.
Christina, I'll jump in as well. We have to promote Minneapolis year round. And obviously during the months when weather is perhaps a little inclement, the Skyways are a great selling tool for us, with more than 10 miles of Skyways connecting our downtown, being able to get from the convention center to all of the major hotels. That is a huge, huge selling point. So we're excited about the fact that the downtown workers are slowly beginning to come back, which helps to sustain the businesses that are in the Skyway, which in turn the visitors and conventioneers can enjoy. So it's all part of a larger ecosystem. So it's very important that we are able to attract downtown workers back to downtown, even on a modified or a hybrid schedule.
Well, but I just want to follow. Oh, does somebody else want to weigh in?
No, I just want to say, as far as opening up the Skyways, I think it's critical. The same reason why boarding a store creates a perception and a bad perception, closing the Skyway does the same thing. And when you try and go through the Skyways and it's closed, when you go through downtown and it's boarded up, that does more to harm the perception that we are safe, that we are welcoming, than everything else. And I think the sooner we can open our Skyways, the sooner we can, I mean, especially for a lot of staff who are coming downtown Minneapolis, who go and park in the ramps and they have to get out from the ramps, and especially they're leaving late at night. We have to do something about that pretty quickly.
Yeah. Leah, a question possibly for you. What discussions are taking place with our local governments to get their employees back into City Hall and the Government Center? These represent significant numbers of employees, and getting 10,000 employees back would help. Any insight on that at all?
Great question. So certainly a lot of conversation going around that topic right now. I think that the city and the county and the business community all share and understand that that's an important piece. As we understand it, the city is looking at that right now and working to determine what that date may be. And same with the county. And so I think that we are hopeful that we will hear more from them in the coming weeks, just as we are hearing more from downtown employers, many of whom are going to start kind of a return to office maybe earlier than we expected, with kind of a phased approach to coming back.
Great. Melvin, just talk about some of the different big events that are coming back online. You mentioned conventions and other, tourist related events. I think that's important to kind of filling downtown back up.
It really is. I do have a couple of slides I'd like to maybe show the activity. Sort of the next 90 days. This for us is very exciting because site visits means that these are people that are either already confirmed bringing their events here or considering bringing events here. So we have a number of site inspections, site visits as we call them, coming. We have a pre-promote for a big convention for next summer. We're going to Houston for the Shriners International Convention, which is going to be here next year over the 4th of July. And then as you can see, we're hosting groups this year coming up in the near future. So from the strongman competition, the Paralympics, the church network. And on the next slide, you'll see, which is even more exciting to me, what 2022 key events are looking like. So there's obviously a window of opportunity for us to book these events because they're large and they need some time to get organized by their meeting and event planners. So we have a very, very optimistic 2022 coming. So this should give us all hope that we're going to have a lot of visitors to be able to welcome to our community over this summer and then into next year.
Hey, Melvin, this is Dave St. Peter. I would just add to that I do think of the events are a huge part of the solution here. And we're excited, hoping to work with the National Hockey League to finalize plans to bring the 2022 NHL Winter Classic to Target Field. We also will bring back the first large-scale concert on August 23rd. The Green Day show will happen this year at Target Field as scheduled. And I think you're going to see a very robust fall, winter, and then summer on the concert scene at Target Center, at US Bank Stadium, and certainly at Target Field going into 2022. And I think that will be a huge benefit as well to our downtown.
Dave, just, I guess, reflect what you think that'll mean to be able to have a big concert. I mean, this is something, you know, a year and a half ago, we didn't know this was going to happen this soon. I mean, we didn't know what this pandemic was going to bring. Just kind of reflect on how we've gotten here and what do you think it'll mean to people to be able to do something as basic as go to a concert at Target Field?
Yeah, I think we took some of these things for granted, right? And they were a huge part of kind of what we did and how we showed up. And it was taken away for all kinds of tragic reasons. So I think you see it with fans coming back to our arenas, into our stadiums. You saw it last night at the Xo Energy Center in St. Paul, the emotion of fans in the arena for a wild playoff game. We've seen it at Target Field with Twins baseball, even with smaller crowds. As those crowds build over time, it's massive, not only for individuals kind of returning to normalcy, but for all the people that are working that event. We return about 1,000 employees every time we play a Twins game at Target Field. Those people didn't work a year ago. And then, of course, all the other ancillary bars, restaurants, all that activity outside of the facility. I can tell you it all knits together, and the event side of business, beyond just the traditional Twins, Vikings, Wolves, Lynx games, is a huge part of this solution.
Yeah. We've been through a lot of trauma in downtown Minneapolis from residents, business owners, and others affiliated with the downtown over the last year and a half. How do organizations like the Twins, restaurateurs, and corporate leaders engage with their community and grow together to come together and heal? David, like you were pretty passionate about this earlier.
I think my bias is going to pop its ugly head again through food, through entertainment, through community service. There are many things. This is not a one answer solution. This is a multi-approach solution. All restaurateurs, all organizations, sports and hospitality, hotels, and businesses downtown. We have to really figure out that supporting the community doesn't happen because you walk into a hotel, you go to the Twins or Timberwolves game. It happens because of that. It happens also because you create an environment downtown that is very, very inclusive and that is very diverse and that is very socially alive and understanding that there is, as happy as we may be during a happy hour, there are other places around our neighborhoods that are not. So how do we serve our community better? It has to be a multi-pronged approach, one that is nonprofit and communal, and then that's for-profit. They have to work together. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Otherwise, there will always be people feeling that, yeah, you guys are thriving and we are being left behind. And as importantly, I firmly believe that most people, if not all people, are good-hearted, wonderful people who want to see downtown, as politically divided as we are, they do want to see downtown thrive, and they do want to see the Twin Cities and Minnesota as a whole get back its energy, and they want to be part of the solution. And so I think that's how we do it. You have to embrace your role, as small as ours is, and the Twins as big as it is. We have to embrace the role of, we have a business, but we also have a responsibility, and they have to work hand in hand.
Dave, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I echo all of that. I would just say that I think it requires our leaders, our downtown business leaders and others to really lean into this work and be intentional about it. You can't, this is again a critical time frame. You can't allow others and just hope that others are gonna take up the cause. We all have to be ambassadors for downtown Minneapolis. We all have to own where we are, be realistic about where we are, but be very intentional about where we want to be in the future. And I'd say people get involved. I mean, this is a really critical election, and I think everybody that has a stake in downtown Minneapolis should be paying attention and looking to get engaged. And that certainly would be, I think, a vital strategy if I had a stake in downtown Minneapolis as a business owner or somebody that lives there or just simply wants to be entertained there. I think people need to get involved.
Melvin, and just before you answer, some of the questions are, what are some of the smaller day-to-day activations that are being planned specifically in, not just the core, but Nicollet Mall and beyond, and how can business leaders, get involved to bring people together?
Well, Christina, I want to focus on that word, trauma. Our community has been traumatized. So the fact that we're having this conversation and acknowledging that there has been trauma, I think is a great first step. As leaders, we have to give our stakeholders the space to express that. And we've seen numbers of expressions of that. We have next week the May 25th, which is not really an anniversary we want to celebrate, but it's a commemoration of the murder of George Floyd. And I know there will be a lot of community events surrounding that activity. But I would just say that as it relates to trauma, a lot of people might think that it's trauma only if you happen to be Black. But no, it's a trauma for all of us. And I know that we all feel some sense of loss, but more importantly, a sense of duty to really funnel this emotion and really make that substantive change in our community that is long, long overdue.
Yeah, great words. Leah?
Well, Christina, before I answer that, just want to click back to the question around Nicollet. And just let folks know that on Nicollet, there will be a lot of programming returned this summer. Downtown Thursdays with the Nicollet Farmers Market, the Makers Market, as well as other programming. There will also be regular programming at PV Plaza throughout the summer with piano performances and pop-up concerts. So a lot to be able to look forward to kind of throughout the day as you come back to downtown. And then in terms of kind of how do we move forward together? We know that business leaders and residents across downtown, that they want to be part of the solution, that there is a lot of desire to continue with the collaboration that has been built and grown a lot of great momentum over the last year. There's also a lot of desire for consistent communication to really elevate the good that is happening downtown and to amplify that. And to points that have been made earlier around public safety. I mean, this is really an opportunity and a moment for us as a community to support the both and approach to public safety. And I think in the last year, we have really seen that we can do both and we can do both well. And so as Dave mentioned, it's an important election coming up and public safety will definitely be a key issue and topic of that conversation. And so the more that folks can get educated around that and begin to support and push for both end as we look for reform under Chief Arredondo, but also new ways. And I think through some of the tactics that the DID has used with partners around the downtown public safety programming this year, with partners has been really good, and we've seen that it can work to help with challenges around livability and bringing a social worker onto the team and others. And then, of course, like, we just need everyone to champion downtown. We need to work together to create an extraordinary downtown for all in our community. And the more that people continue to come together and champion that, the quicker we will start to see collective uplift and impact for our downtown.
That's great. Well, I think we're going to end it there. Thank you, David Fima, Dave St. Peter, Melvin Tennant, and Leah Wong for being a part of this great panel. I thought we had such an honest and candid conversation. I'm very privileged to have moderated this event. And just for everybody who's still tuning in, our next A New 612 discussion will be on June 9th from 9 to 10 in the morning. And it's going to be focusing on the charter, what that is all about, and breaking that down. So that'll be another interesting topic. Hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Thanks for joining.